The good old NEPA and Power Holding Company of Nigeria have been sold. Now those who bought them, we have to study what have they done with them. At the time, the government said it voted 7 billion naira for that conference. ASU was on strike. I think this government has capacity for wrong priorities. We just have to block all loopholes, how people siphon public funds.
So what about power? What plans do you have to improve power supply in Nigeria?
We have to see what efforts were done in terms of privatization. The good old NEPA and Power Holding Company of Nigeria have been sold. Now those who bought them, we have to study what have they done with them. All we know, at least 20 billion United States dollars have been spent on power between 1999 and now. What are the results? There's a lot of work to be done.
The country doesn't have a national carrier in the aviation industry, but there are many private aviation airlines around. Now, is there a plan by a government to let Nigeria have a national carrier?
I like to treat patriotism with a lot of economic sense and common sense. I think for Nigeria, railways is more important than airlines. Railways can be used by people from different levels, from cleaners in the office, to permanent secretaries, to the ministers, to the presidency. But airlines is for the elite. Mostly it's for the elite, those that can afford to pay. But my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, I don't think the party has come up with its in their manifesto. I would give Nigerian railways more priority over Nigerian Airways and Nigerian shipping line, and would give priority to the roads because of the way they affect the economy, especially link roads, roads to the rural areas and so on, where food stuff is brought to the urban areas, where people move either to work and back. So there is a lot of work to be done, but our party, as I said, our manifesto has seen it all. They condensed it, but it can be expanded, and with the participation of the legislature, we will identify priorities and work very hard to get things done.
Now, you promised to fight corruption and, of course, improve security in the country. Don't you think this, too, will be a challenge really to tackle effectively?
We have three fundamental problems in Nigeria. One, insecurity. Two, unemployment, the damage done to the economy. As I have just mentioned, only one part of it, the petroleum industry. Three, corruption. In all the 35 states, and the town hall meeting I had in Lagos, in Kano, in Abuja, I emphasized these 3 points. I could not recall any group or any individual disagreeing with me in identifying these fundamental issues. Now, these are issues that will certainly take time, but we thought of agriculture and mining will help, the new government to quickly provide job for everybody unemployed, and we will give that a lot of priority, because insecurity and unemployment and corruption is such a vicious cycle that it has to be broken. If you have insecurity, it will affect employment. Look at the schools closed in the northeast, the factories, the bridges blown, and the unemployment they caused, and what the corruption has been doing to us. So I've already started persuading Nigerians to be patient with us, and try to see us. We'll try and explain at every level what we are doing and how we are doing it, and what cooperation we need from Nigerians.
So, talking about security, do you think there will be a need for you to reform the military and the police, especially with the drama over your missing certificate and then later on it was found?
Yeah, well, it's the inefficiency and the corruption of the PDP administration, as I kept on saying, the last 16 years. Somebody up there in PDP ought to know that the armed forces and indeed the ministries and the other organizations, as I mentioned about financial instructions and administrative instruction. I had the honor to be the Nigerian Army Military Secretary, and I know every commissioned officer has a file. And that file was opened the day he was commissioned in the Nigerian Army, and it will be there until his death. So for somebody to say that my certificate is missing, that proves you know how the system has been destroyed. Does it mean the 3 previous times INEC cleared me to participate, INEC didn't know what they were doing, or they were not following the Electoral Act? These are things I think normal Nigerians should quickly see through them.
So will there be a reform? Will there be an investigation, especially into what went into your certificate getting missing?
Well, they said it's no longer missing. So why should we waste somebody first and investigate it again?
All right, so moving on from that.
In any case, there's one damn good cartoonist. I can't remember in which paper. He said, well, they said Buhari's certificate is missing, but INEC has given him one. So if INEC has given me certificate of winning the election, to hell with the certificate, that is with the military.
All right, now Nigerians have so long been divided along ethnic and religious lines. Now, as a president of a united Nigeria, how will you move really to unite everyone in the country?
It's security, economy, unemployment, and corruption. And Nigerians agreed with APC's identification of these problems. And there has to be a quick, systematic way of eliminating Nigeria from these problems. We thank God the result of this election across the country. It has dealt with what you brought out are social problems across ethnicity and religion. People just voted for APC, a party that promised them to make sure that Nigerians will have a fair deal during its rule in this country.
Now, will you look into the recommendations in the National Confab report?
Well, frankly, I haven't studied it. I have a problem with that conference. My problem is this, if you could recall. At the time, the government said it voted 7 billion naira for that conference. ASU was on strike. And teachers on the tertiary institutions, polytechnics, were on strike. These strikes were at least for a whole academic year. I think a serious government, if they have 7 billion naira to throw about, will go and negotiate with ASU, and then the teachers' organization or teachers' unions of the tertiary institutions, from polytechnics downwards, so that our children should remain in school. Even complement equipment, you know, and other social facilities, you know, for educational institutions. I was so much personally against that thing because the National Assembly is there. I believe the executive ought to have sent a memo to the National Assembly if they want a constitutional amendment. This is in line with the Constitution of 1999 as amended. Why go and take 7 billion that we could not afford when our children are on the streets? I think this government has capacity for wrong priorities that are hurting us as a nation.
All right, so will your party now, which will be the ruling party at the center, intimidate or be hostile to opposition parties once in office? I'm talking about the PDP states.
No, that will be against our manifesto. Our manifesto strengthens social justice. And somebody who promised social justice and put it in writing cannot come down around and promote injustice. We are going to provide social justice. People are going to get what they deserve, whether they are in opposition or in our party.
What basically do you hope to achieve in your first 100 days in office?
I think the three things I mentioned: security, employment, which means improvement of the economy, and really giving corruption a bloody nose. We just have to block all loopholes, how people siphon public funds for their own interests.
What plan do you have for the EFCC?
Well, I think when I get there, I will find out what the EFCC has been doing, and so that I will know what to do with them.
All right, thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's been quite interesting chatting with you, exclusively telling us your plans for Nigerians once you get into office officially in May.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I'm Major General Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President-elect of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I am very grateful to TVC for taking the opportunity to take such a detailed interview of my opinions on political issues, on economic issues, on security issues that will certainly concern the government as from 30th of May this year.